The royal rift between the King of Jordan and his younger half-brother appears to have de-escalated, according to the Jordanian government. The royal court says Prince Hamzah has reaffirmed his loyalty to King Abdullah after he was placed under house arrest over the weekend for reportedly plotting to undermine the security of Jordan, a key ally to the United States and other Western countries. More than a dozen other people were also arrested. Hamzah denies any involvement in a plot to overthrow the monarchy, but is an outspoken critic of the Jordanian government. For more, I'm joined by Lester Munson. Lester is a senior fellow at the National Security Institute and principal for international at BGR Group. Lester, welcome. Thanks for being with us. Let's start with the current political climate in Jordan. What's driving the opposition to King Abdullah, and how deep are the divisions in the country?
Those are great questions. Jordan's struggling with a number of issues. Of course, there's the coronavirus pandemic. Jordan has struggled to provide the right kind of remediation for that and vaccines to its people. That's common in a lot of countries. Jordan has also been struggling economically. Perhaps more so than some of its neighbors. Jordan doesn't have the oil wealth that, for example, Saudi Arabia has. So it's a little more difficult for them to deal with the shocks to their economy. Plus, there's a whole lot of issues going on in the Middle East geopolitically. There's a change in the U.S. administration. There's an election coming in Iran. Saudi Arabia is going through a lot of changes. There's political turmoil in Israel where the prime minister doesn't have enough votes in the Knesset to form a government. So there's a lot of things going on. Jordan's in the middle of all those, not to mention the chaos that's in Syria and Iraq, which are two of Jordan's neighbors. So they're in a tough spot for a lot of reasons.
Well, after Prince Hamzah was put under house arrest over the weekend, he released a video to the BBC. Let's listen to part of that.
I wanted to make this recording so that it is clear to the world that what you see and hear in terms of the official line is not a reflection of the realities on the ground. Unfortunately, this country has become stymied in corruption, in nepotism, and in misrule. And the result has been the destruction or the loss of hope that is apparent in pretty much every Jordanian.
The prince has some strong criticism for the government in that video. So what should we make of him now reaffirming his loyalty to the king?
Well, I do think it's interesting that a prince would criticize nepotism. Some of this some of these are legitimate issues. There is certainly a corruption issue in Jordan. There always has been. There are corruption issues in many countries. What I think we should see this, though, as is some political pluralism in Jordan. Jordan's a kingdom. It's ruled by King Abdullah. Prince Hamzah is his half-brother. So there's no real room for political parties in the way Americans think of them. This is political pluralism at work in a kingdom. It's not something kingdoms are well suited to. And so even though you've had a lot of stability in Jordan, the fact that Prince Hamzah is willing to step out of the royal family, criticize his half-brother, criticize the government there is very shocking to Jordanians. And so his house arrest effectively is a new thing. But this is political pluralism at work in Jordan. They're trying to deal with the different forces at work on that country.
Well, Freedom House, which monitors and reports on people's access to political rights and civil liberties, recently downgraded Jordan from partly free to not free. What is fueling this degradation of rights in Jordan?
So there have been some clampdowns on freedom of expression in Jordan. There's no doubt. Jordan is not as stable as it appears here from the U.S. Again, it is surrounded by countries that are going through enormous changes. Iraq, Syria, Saudi Arabia, those countries have impact on the people of Jordan. Many of the people who live in Jordan are refugees from Palestine, from the occupied territories, from Israel. Jordan is not self-contained. The things that happen in these other countries impact the situation in Jordan. In order for the king and the government to maintain power, they have to very carefully monitor what's going on. They've cracked down on dissent. That's not the kind of thing we would tolerate in this country. And when we see that from afar, we realize it doesn't really reflect our values, but that's kind of the nature of the beast in from Jordan. They don't have real political pluralism, and so a government crackdown is not totally unexpected given all of the changes going on around them.
All right, Lester Munson for us. Lester, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.